My name is Sharonda Hill with True Fund Financial Services, and welcome to tonight's webinar on certifications, contracts, and capital. This webinar is brought to you and sponsored by our friends over at Veritex Community Bank. Thank you, Veritex, for always supporting True Fund in all of our efforts and partnering with us on a regular basis. Okay, so on our agenda tonight, we are going to have our welcome, which I just welcomed you, and we'll do some introductions. And then I'll give you a brief overview of True Fund. From there, we'll have Juan Camarena and Jorge Castro with Veritex Community Bank. After they present, we'll have Julie Irvin Hartman with B2G Victory. She is the co-founder and certified proposal manager. From there, we'll talk about a little bit of access to capital. Then you'll have a Q&A. All right, a little bit about True Fund. So here at True Fund, our mission is to expand access to capital, resources, and business advisory services for undercapitalized individuals and communities by fostering economic resilience and strengthening entrepreneurial ecosystems. We help small businesses grow, create jobs, and build generational wealth. Through strategic partnerships, like the one we have with Veritex, and innovative financial solutions, we work to bridge the economic gaps, ensuring that all entrepreneurs, regardless of their starting point, have tools and the support necessary to succeed and contribute to sustainable and thriving communities. So we proudly serve a diverse range of markets across New York, New Jersey, Georgia, Alabama, Texas, and Louisiana. We offer small business loans, contract mobilization loans, and real estate acquisition loans. Of course, we have, I just mentioned our business advisory products. We also have an Impact Developers Fund. That's for the more sophisticated developers. We have our New Markets Tax Credit programs that focus on food deserts, manufacturing, education, and things of that nature. And we recently added our Community Climate Fund. So that is a little bit about True Fund. And I'm going to turn the floor over to Mr. Juan with Veritex Bank. Take it away, Juan.
How are you? Happy, what is it? Happy Wednesday already. So really happy and excited to be here. Thank you, Sharonda, for, this opportunity for us to, come on board and share a little bit about who we are. So my name is Juan Camarena. I'm a business banking relationship manager for Veritex Community Bank. Really excited to be here with you guys, share with you a little bit about who we are, right? So I'll go ahead and go through the slides that I have here for you guys. So a little bit about our story. We've been in the business for a little over 14 years, right? We have made a couple of great acquisitions during this time and in different areas of the business, right? Which makes us really, creative and strategic to be able to help our communities, right? As part of our name is just a Veritex Community Bank. So our focus is to increase our market share within each surrounding of each location and really focusing on the growth of not only our bank but also the business clients that we have, right? The only way we grow as a bank is on assisting our small business clients thrive, right? Creating more job opportunities, more employment, right? And helping our areas grow here in Houston and in the Dallas area. As I mentioned, Dallas, that's actually where we're headquartered, right? We do have about a little over 31 location between branches and offices, between Dallas being our largest section and our largest footprint. But Houston is not behind, just with 12 as well. We're all around Houston, from Cleveland to Kingwood, the South Houston area, located in the Memorial as well. So we're pretty surrounded in the area, so willing to help anybody, that needs assistance and guidance. I have been in the industry for a little bit of 6 years now, and really excited, learn a lot. And I'll tell you, I used to be with other financial institutions, and here at Veritex, we're really personal, really, creating that relationship. And that's something that I'm really happy about. And that's saying that says on our screen, right? Our goal is to create long-lasting relationships by providing exceptional, transparent, and trustworthy customer service, right? And that's what we are. If you go online, right? I always love this story because if you go online and you look up our customer service number, we don't have a 1-800 number. You have our cell phone, right? And our direct line. That's how personal it is, with this community bank, Veritex, right? We do offer all kind of solutions for you guys. We have a business interest checking account, high yield business savings, business credit card, all kind of treasury solutions to streamline your business. Just as if you need solutions as far as account payables and receivables, we have that as well. A really important thing that we have, been in this industry is access to SBA lending, right? And I think that's one of the questions that a lot of clients are interested on, with access to capital, because at one point you're going to need capital, right, to continue to thrive, continue to acquire more equipment, be able to hire more people, whatever stage of the business you're on. SBA lending is an important factor. And we have our own dedicated small business administration team here at Veritex, right? Obviously, you get one of us, right, who's going to be your direct point of contact when it comes to the bank. And if there's, I always like to mention this, right? If you uh, when you're in a business owner, right? There's three best friends that you gotta have. One is your CPA, right? Your certified public accountant. The next one is your lawyer, right? To be able to that all of your assets are protected. And the third person is your banker, right? So always question yourself, who is my banker, right? And you want to have that name. If you don't have one, find one, right? Just because you want to have the discussion, or hey, this is where I'm at, and my goal is A, B, and C, right? How can I get there, right? So that's what we come into place to have the conversation, have a plan in place, connecting with your CPA, right? Make sure that your taxes and your accounts are what they need to be, right? Because we gotta have that to be able to show the bank, hey, this is where I'm at. Where can I go from here? And that's like I said, the lawyers to make sure that you're always protected, right? So that's what I'm really happy about is having a own specific SBA lending team with a lot of experience. I have some amazing SBA partners here at Veritex, and we're every client is unique, every processing is unique, right? And that's what we come into place to help you and assist you with that process to get you to the next step. So we are FDIC insured, right? We have all different tools here for you guys, from online banking to mobile banking as well. um, Commercial real estate, that's another area that we're specialized with as well. So if you're looking to purchase a property, you're in that stage of get a bigger location and whatnot, that is an area that we have a lot of experience with, and we can assist you with that process as you continue to grow. These are some of the locations, like I mentioned, that we have in Dallas and Houston. Right, I have actually office out of the Greenbrier branch, so you're more than welcome to come into my branch. Right, and on the next page, I'll talk a little bit about, it'll have my QR code on there. I encourage you, if you're on this call, please send me a message with your name and the name of your business, and let's talk, right? Whether it is to give me some guidance, or hey, can you tell me a little bit more about SBA? What are some of the lending solutions that we have, right? Or anything that you want to pick my brain, feel free, right? My cell phone number will be on there. And you can send me a text, give me a call. We can set up a virtual call like this, one-on-one or in person, if you're available to do that as well. I'd love to meet you and introduce myself personally, and assist you with any guidance that you might need, right? Um, so I'll give you some time to look at those locations. Like I said, we have locations in Sugarland, San Felipe, in Kingwood. I've gone all the way to Cleveland as well to meet some clients. So Houston is an hour away from Houston, right? So if you are in the south, in the north, in the east, in the west, I do cover most of the Houston East. I actually stay close to Atascocita, and I grew up in Channelview, in airline area, so I'm pretty familiar with Houston. So just let me know. This is actually my bio. So if you click on that, it'll ask you for your information, and also It'll have my information on there as well. I do have Jorge on the line. That's his information. That's one of my partners here at Veritex. He has a ton of knowledge and experience as well. So you're getting two for one, as I like to say. So, but yeah, I'll be here, for a Q&A. If you guys have any questions, right? I love to answer them to the best of my knowledge. And we'll park them, and we'll continue on that. But just some of the information that we have here, and we'll hope to join the Veritex family here at Veritex Community Bank. Thank you, Sharonda, for having me on.
Thank you so much, Juan. And once again, we appreciate you. We appreciate Veritex um,
Yeah,
always supporting us.
thank you so much. Happy to help, guys.
You're very welcome. Up next, we have Julie Hartman. She's gonna come, and she's with B2G. She's gonna come and talk to us about certifications. She's gonna talk to us about where to get contracts, how to find opportunities, and all things contracts. So put your hands together and let's welcome Julie Irvin Hartman with B2G Victory.
Thanks, Sharonda, so much for having us join you again this evening. And thanks so much to Courtney and the whole team at Veritex Bank. They truly are amazing bankers. And just like he said, you don't have a banking relationship if it's a 1-800 number. And he couldn't have said it better. You need to have your banker's phone number in your cell phone. And it is so critical to have those relationships when you are growing and scaling your business in government contracts or going after certifications. So both the team at Veritex Bank, the team at True Fund, and the team at B2G Victory are here to make sure that you are successful, that you have all of the wraparound services to be successful, and the people that are genuinely and authentically interested in your success. So we're going to talk a little bit about this world that we live in at B2G Victory, and that stands for business to government. That's all we do day in and day out. It's what we live, it's what we breathe, and you'll be able to tell during our time together, we're a little bit passionate about it. And so our time tonight is specifically focused around certifications and contracts. And there's a lot of talk right now about what's going on in the political landscape regarding certifications and programs. And we're not going to talk about that. What we are going to talk about is that the work still needs to get done, that there are still opportunities out there. And as a business, as a small business, a certified business, a woman-owned business, a minority-owned business, there are opportunities. And now truly is the time to leverage and take hold of those opportunities. So we're going to talk about overview and benefits. What are certifications? What are the different types? Things to consider, right? What are the right certifications for your business? And what are the right contracts to consider? What do you need for these certifications? So we're going to focus on the application content. And then mistakes to avoid. As an entrepreneur, I mean, just like tonight, we're doing this session at 6 o'clock at night. Time is everything, and none of us have any extra time in our day, much less time to pay missed opportunity cost. From there, we're going to talk about registration. Just because you're certified doesn't mean that you're registered. And what does registration do? Registration leads to opportunities. Opportunities lead to contracts. So that's our outline for today. I am, like Sharonda said, Julie Irvin Hartman. I'm a 3-time certified woman business owner. I am on my 3rd company, and every single one of those companies that I have owned as well as sold have grown through government contracts. 20 years ago, when I got into this space, I had no clue what I was doing, much less knew that you could have a business and grow a business through government contracts. Over those years, within a year in this space, I got my certified proposal manager certification. And over those span of 2 decades, I've helped companies secure $4.5 billion worth of work. I love Houston. I've been here since I was 22 years old, and I am a product of the Houston entrepreneur ecosystem. Just like you're taking advantage and leveraging the opportunities in education tonight, I have been doing that for 2 decades. I went through Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business Cohort 1, and that's actually because of that, I successfully sold and exited my first business. I've leveraged other programs, the Interagency Mentor Protege program, and I've continued my passion for sharing knowledge and went back to school during COVID and got my executive MBA. B2G Victory was founded by myself and Susan Repka, and joining us tonight on the chat is Hannah Brock, our marketing coordinator. And you can connect with us and continue the conversation on social media. And even as fellow entrepreneurs in our commitment to you tonight, we wanted to make sure that you had access to all of this information, all of the links, all of the supporting videos, all of the supporting tools and templates that are on the B2G Victory portal. We get it. You're working on your business at 2 o'clock on Tuesdays, 2 o'clock on Saturdays, and even sometimes 2 o'clock in the morning on Wednesdays, right? Well, we wanted to be able to be that resource for you anytime to get answers that you need to grow and scale your business, whether it's in a certification or a contract. So we're offering everyone who's on the call tonight, if you use the code TrueFund25, we're going to give you the entire Victory Plus membership at half price, only $25 a month. That's like less than 2 cups of coffee at Starbucks to help you grow your business. There's a great dashboard there. And what we've done is we've organized all of the information by relevant content. So tonight's session is focusing around certification. So you can go to the portal and you can see right there, there's different categories, capability statements, maybe financials, proposal preparation, proposal strategy. But for our example for tonight, we clicked on certification and you can see right there that there are 7 blog posts specifically around certification and to help you. Well, maybe you don't want to read, and that's okay. We've got videos. There are videos about certifications and how to maximize your certifications as well as certification considerations. Those are up there on the portal. And as you're working on your certifications and contracts, you can go to the frequently asked questions and see resources and events all across the nation, whether they're in person or virtual, to help you maximize your certifications and help you win contracts. All righty, let's go ahead and jump on in. And so as we go through things today, there might be a bunch of new words and phrases that come across. So I want you to think about what you can do and what's reasonable to take action on, right? Because this is all about taking action on the resources and the information that TrueFund and Veritex are providing to you tonight. Is this something you can take care of next week, right? Which is crazy hard to believe that we're already in the first week of the 3rd quarter. But what's something quick and easy that you can accomplish to get your momentum going? Then think about dissecting this information or chunking it into something in some long-term goals, maybe in Q3, Q4, or maybe this is something that needs to get all the way kicked down, all the way to Q1 of 2026, and that's okay. So certification overview. What are these certifications and what does that mean? It is very important that you're able to articulate the certifications that you have so that people can help you maximize those certifications. All righty. So certification, what is it? Certification validates that a business is at least, if you want to be a veteran certified, 51% veteran-owned business. So if you're a veteran and you want to get your business as a certified veteran-owned business, you're going to need to be, the veteran has to hold the highest officer position and it has to receive the highest compensation, right? If you want to be a woman-owned business, the business has to be 51% owned, controlled, operated, and managed by a woman or women, multiple, right? And I really want to talk about 3 of those words in that, which are controlled, operated, and managed. You need to make sure that the veteran, the woman, or the minority is controlling the business, operating the business, and managing. What does all of that mean? That you're in the day-to-day. Your name isn't just on a piece of paper, okay? Now, in order to be minority owned, a couple of other criteria here. Those same 3, owned, operated, and controlled by a minimum of 1 U.S. citizen whose ethnic background is at least 25%, right? Either 25% Asian Indian, Asian Pacific, Black, Hispanic, or Native American. So you have to be one of those ethnic backgrounds and 25% of that, okay? And you don't exceed the small business size standards. Okay, we'll talk a little bit about that too. These pieces of paper, we want to put to work for you. They're not wall art. And if you've got these certifications and all they are is in your office, then you are not leveraging all of those benefits, okay? And we're going to talk about how to do that. So certification alphabet soup, and you'll quickly learn if you're new to this government contracting space that they love acronyms and abbreviations. And so we're just going to briefly go over some of these. And the great thing is, because we're limited with our time tonight, all of these acronyms and abbreviations are all on the Victory portal, right? And the glossary. So Hannah's been busy behind the scenes for these last couple of years, putting together all of the words that are in the B2G Victory glossary. So if you hear the acronym VOSB, that's a veteran-owned small business. A MBE is a minority-owned business. An SBE is a small business. HUB, which is with the state of Texas, is a historically underutilized business. A WOSB is a woman-owned small business through the SBA. So like I said, it's really important that you're able to identify what certifications you have and articulate the certifying agency, because then you know how to maximize that certification. For example, the city of Houston, Fort Bend Independent School District also takes the City of Houston certification. If your hub, state of Texas hub, Port Houston, accepts your hub certification. So we want to make sure that you're maximizing all of those certifications to not only win you business with that agency, but also other agencies that have reciprocity. All righty, so here are all, like I said, the different blog posts about the certifications. These blog posts are on our public-facing website as well as on the portal. We've also got a podcast talking about benefits of your LGBTQ certification, if that applies to you. So when you've got some certifications, 50% of the information that you're using from one certification, you can use for others. So it's really, really important to be organized and have all of that content ready. So what certification is the right one for you? I get so disappointed when I hear people say, well, I've got these certifications and this certification, but it hasn't done anything for me. And I'm like, okay, well, you have your City of Houston certification. Did you know that the City of Houston certification is accepted at these other agencies? Oh, no, I didn't know that. Well, have you looked at opportunities with those other agencies? No, I haven't. Well, then that's kind of on you as the business owner, because you spent the time and energy getting that certification. Let's make sure that you are set up for success. Let's make sure that your certification matches your business plan, it matches your business model and your business focus. And we get calls probably about once a week that people are like, well, I want to be on the GSA schedule. And I'm like, okay, do you know what that is? No, but somebody told me I needed to be on it. Okay, well, how do you provide construction services? Let's just use that as an example. Well, I have a crew of me and 4 people. Okay, so are you able to do work outside of the Houston city limits or the Houston metro area? No, I don't want to do that. Okay, so the federal agencies that buy off of the GSA schedule, some examples of those are NASA, FEMA, the Army Corps of Engineers, and TSA, right? Those are just 4 examples. Are you interested in doing business with any of those agencies? No. Okay, well then the GSA schedule wouldn't be the right fit for you because based on that person's business plan, their business model, and their business focus, it doesn't make sense to waste their time, energy to get federal certifications and get on the GSA schedule. So think about who you want to do business with, what certifications do they accept, and what certifications do I have, right? So we really want to make sure that we know what agencies are there, right? So on the portal, we have a list of all the different certifying agencies, and we've broken them down to help you get this information quickly on location, right? Based on my scope and my capacity. Am I going to do something within the state of Texas? Am I going to do something local? Maybe I'm only interested in doing business with my local school district. If I only want to do work with, let's say, HISD, well, then let's go and find out which certifications HISD accepts. So on the portal, we've got it where you can search by location, as well as what type of certification are you eligible for, right? So if I'm just woman-owned or disabled, you can check those boxes, and what comes down below changes and updates respectively. So I encourage you that maybe this is one of your Q2 action items, is to go there and look to see what agencies make the most sense for you based on your location that you want to do business with, as well as the certifying criteria. So what are some other considerations that you want to look at when you're moving forward with your certifications? Client needs. And I've already touched on this a little bit of, who is your target agency? What are some types of contracts that are going to be available to you? And what certifications do they accept? And some of this is a little bit of the chicken and the egg, or the egg and the chicken. And if you need any help with that, we're here to help you out. Time frame. How quickly do you need that certification? Some certifying agencies have a backlog. For example, the city of Houston right now has anywhere between a 6-month to a 9-month backlog on certification. So if you apply today, right now, for your city of Houston certification, more than likely you will get that piece of paper, that certification, around September or October, right? Some other certifications, such as the Houston Metro certification, can take up to 90 days. Well, client needs, right? So if I go back to, is Metro a business that I'm interested in doing business with? And I'm going to put on my office supply hat. Well, does Metro buy office supplies? Absolutely, they buy office supplies. They also need tires for their buses and all of the other, maintenance things, but they're a business. So if Metro is one of the clients that I want to do business with that fits my business model and my business focus, then I might be interested in getting the Metro certification, right? And that only takes about 90 days. Also, Houston Metro is accepted by Port Houston, and it's also accepted by Fort Bend Independent School District, right? So once again, following that trail. If you need help with any of that, let us know. Some certifications require a site visit. So if you are getting a certification through the WBEA or State of Texas Hub, there will be a site visit. Now, I don't want you to get worried because we're a home-based business. I'm in my home office, but they're going to come and ring on, your doorbell. this is one good thing that has happened because of COVID, and these are virtual visits. So they can be virtual site visits. And the reason why these site visits are so critical to some of these certifications is they want to make sure that either the minority, the woman, or the veteran, remember those words that I talked about, is involved in the operations and the controlling and the managing of the business, right? They just want to make sure that you're actively involved. And those site visits are usually like 30 minutes. They're not very long, so I don't want you to get anxiety or nervous about a site visit. Renewal terms. For example, the state of Texas Hub certification is 3 years. The WBEA woman-owned certification is good for 1 year, right? And so when you get these certifications, you have got to be vigilant about staying on top of them, because if you let one lapse, you've got to start all over again. And it is so crushing to see that happen. Some certifications have processing fees, some don't. We're going to go back to our example with Houston Metro. They do not have a processing fee. State of Texas Hub does not have a processing fee. Now, if you go through the WBEA, which is the Women's Business Enterprise Alliance, and you want to get your women-owned certification through them, there is a processing fee around $400 to $500. Also, if you go through the HMSDC here in Houston, which is the Houston Minority Supplier Diversity Council, there is a processing fee with them. So just do your research and figure out these considerations, these 5 considerations, and figure out what the right one is for you. So let's talk about veterans. Veteran-owned certifications. So at the federal level, with the SBA, offers a veteran-owned certification. You can be a veteran-owned or a service-disabled veteran or a veteran small business. So three different options that you've got through the SBA, which is on the federal level. In order to get your veteran-owned certification, you have to be a small business and you have to be registered in SAM, which stands for the System of Award Management. All of that is all up on the portal for you. I would be remiss if we did not talk about Hub Zone. There is a little bit of confusion with the state of Texas Hub program and the federal Hub Zone program, okay? So federal Hub Zone program, you have to be a small business according to the SBA size standards. It has to be controlled by a US citizen. And here are the 2 very, very important criteria. So you have to meet all 4. The principal office has to be in a hub zone, and 35% of your employees also have to live in a hub zone. Well, what does that mean? Well, there is on a map that you put in your business address, and it will tell you if your hub zone, if your office is in a hub zone. Now, we often get this question, well, Julie, what happens if it's just me, myself, and I work out of my house? Well, that means your house has to be in a hub zone because that is the principal address for the business, okay? And we could probably do a whole 30-minute session on hub zone, but what I wanted to do tonight was just to give everybody a little dabble on all these different certifications, and then also give you resources for more information. The SBA has a great tool about am I eligible? So you can walk through that and put in the information and it'll tell you which federal certifications you're eligible for. So here's one at the federal level, which is the Women-Owned Small Business Program. And 5% of all federal contracting dollars are set aside each year for women-owned businesses. So at your leisure, you can go through the SBA, am I certified? It just asks you a series of questions and then it lets you know, are you eligible? Now, I want to provide some clarity that are you eligible and actually getting the certification are two very different things. You are eligible. Well, now you've got to prove your eligibility. There was some confusion a while back. Somebody went through and they did that. They're like, great, I'm certified. And I'm like, wow, that was fast. You did that in 24 hours. And they're like, yeah, I went to the website. I'm like, no, that's just your eligibility. Now you've got to do the rest of the work. So we're just going to quickly talk about some other certifications that I've mentioned. Sharonda, go ahead and feel free to chime in at any point in time. So on the national level, you've got your National Minority Supplier Development Council. Okay. The local agency here in Houston is HMSDC. So you would go through the HMSDC office here in Houston to get this national minority-owned certification. And this certification is not only used in the government space, but if you're interested in doing business with Fortune 500 companies, Shell, Target, Walmart, ExxonMobil, HEB, who else? United Airlines, Southwest Airlines, they all accept the HMSDC certification. So they are looking to increase their spend with minority-owned businesses. A lot of those same big corporations will accept the WBENC certification. So you've got the National Minority Supplier Diversity Council, and you've got the WBEA. Right? So a lot of large corporations will accept either. If you're a minority woman-owned business, you can get both. If you want, you'd be paying for both, but that's entirely up to you. We spend a lot of time making sure that we're sending you to the specific web page within this certifying agency's website to look at the eligibility criteria. Right? That's the most important. Am I eligible? Do I meet this criteria? If yes, then let's take the time and the effort to get the documents together. And the time starts ticking once you submit the documents, not when you hit the website and look at the eligibility criteria. Are there any of you that are in the state of Georgia? I know True Fund goes all across the nation, so I wanted to make sure to offer some other examples of markets that True Fund's in, that there are also certifications in, and the state of Georgia. So very similar to the state of Texas. Got some happy feelings from Sharonda right there. The state of Georgia has a small business program, and they have a small business certification that includes women, minorities, youth, and veterans. So similar, but a little different than the state of Texas, as well as the Georgia Department of Transportation has what's called a DBE certification, which is a disadvantaged business enterprise. So hats off to the Peach State. And now we'll come back to the Lone Star State here in Texas. We've talked a little bit about Hub. The state of Texas Hub program has been around since like the 70s. It's been around for a good while. It is run by the state of Texas comptroller. Why does that sound familiar? Well, for those of us who have to pay sales tax, that's where it goes to. So the state of Texas comptroller does many things, and the Hub program is one of them. And so each project in the state of Texas that is over $50,000 has Hub goals. So back to, if you have your Hub certification, how do you leverage it? Well, you go find these big contracts and you say, hey, I'm Hub certified, but you got to finish the rest of that sentence. You have to say, I can do this scope of work for you in this project, and I am Hub certified. The businesses that flip that statement around and you talk about your capabilities and your capacity first, then you say that you've got the certifications, get on the teams that win. Okay. And I want to reiterate that you can do the work, You have the capability and the capacity. Go and look at that opportunity, find out what that scope of work is. I can do this, and I can help you fulfill your hub goal. Boom, drop the mic. And here's my capability statement, right? Okay. We're going to pop up to New York. Who doesn't like a little Broadway in their life? The state of New York has an MWBE certification. So if you're in the state of New York or interested in doing business in the state of New York, that's the type of certification that they have, similar to the state of Texas, right? Coming to our neighbors, just right there to, I guess, depending on which way you're looking. If you're looking down to Galveston, they're on your left. If you're looking north to Dallas, they're over there on your right. Good friends in Louisiana, right? Louisiana has the Louisiana Economic Development, LED. Texas has got HUB. Louisiana has LED, and it's called the Hudson Initiative. So maybe you have offices here in Texas and in Louisiana. Absolutely, go and get both of those certifications, okay? Then also in Alabama, right? Just going to keep going across the South. Alabama has the Alabama Department of Economic and Community Affairs. Similar to the state of Texas Hub, but this is just what Alabama calls it. And the Office of Minority Business Enterprise administers all of their certifications, whereas in the state of Texas, the comptroller administers that, right? So very similar. If you're in if you're in Alabama, your certification is valid for 2 years, right? So wanted to really stress all of the different types of opportunities that are out there, regardless of where you are. TxDOT, Texas Department of Transportation, has a small business enterprise program. So if you're interested in doing business with TxDOT, and I want to pause here that TxDOT, just like Metro, obviously we've got roads and we've got infrastructure, and we got bridges. They also have office buildings too. And last year, it was either last year or the year before, had a ton of work out there for renovation of their office buildings. So tons of structural engineers, tons of architectural opportunities that might help broaden your horizon. So I really want you to think about what your business does, what those agencies are, and where those opportunities are. City of Houston, right? We've talked about them a little bit already. The Office of Business Opportunity offers a bunch of different certifications, from minority to women to small business to concessions. If you're interested in focusing on concessionaires, which are all of those little shops all along that you walk by when you're getting ready to go to your flights. City of Houston needs all of you, not only at the City of Houston, but all 3 of the airports in Houston. Our good friends at Metro offer education as well as certifications. So make sure to explore Metro. And as we've gone through these different types of certifications, notice some of these are small business, notice some of these are women-owned business, and some of these are minority. So Metro's program is race and gender neutral. So it's for small businesses, right? So it is all based on your net worth. So think about that, right? And just like I said, if you get your Metro certification, Houston Community College accepts the Metro certification. So does Port Houston and Fort Bend Independent School District. So now you're really making that certification work for you. And just to wrap up in the certification section, it's one of the quickest and easiest certifications to get, because it is all based on small business and it is race and gender neutral. All righty. In this space, regardless if it's certifications or contracts, everything is driven by codes. There are 2 types of codes in this space. There is the NIGP codes and the NAICS codes. If you don't know your NAICS code, where could you go very quickly to find it? On your taxes. When you file your business taxes, your NAICS code is right there. every business has to have a primary NAICS code. So on your taxes, right? Because we got 5 seasons of the year. We got spring, summer, winter, fall, and tax season. We are full-blown tax season right now. That's a great place to start to find your NAICS code. If you want help here on the B2G Victory portal, you can just type in NAICS code or NIGP code, and you'll be able to find those. You're going to need to know your NAICS code and your NIGP code. NAICS codes are used on the federal level and for certifications. NIGP codes are used on the state level and local level for purchasing. You want to have both of those codes and know your codes and have them very quickly and easily accessible at any time. All righty. Your application. So now we've identified the agency that we want to do work with. We've identified, all right, we are eligible for these certifications, and we want to go ahead and apply. So what are some common certification sections that you're going to need to have in order to apply, right? And we've broken these down into 5 sections, kind of general information about your business, financial, personal, especially if you're going after your minority or women-owned business, legal. They want to make sure that you're a legitimate business, and then management information, right? Back to that owning, controlling, and managing the day-to-day operations of your business. All right, let's jump in and let's show you some the examples of documents that fall into these categories. And this is exactly how we organize the files on our server for us, as well as our clients, when we are doing either our certifications or helping them out. So anything, and we have a folder that says legal. In that legal folder, I'm going to have a copy of the the formation documents. I'm going to have my EIN number. Well, where do I go get that? That's on my W-9. Where do I go find my NAICS codes and my NIGP codes? Any LLC agreements, any shareholder agreements, any managing member agreements, stock certificates, all of that, all is in legal, right? Partnership agreements, all of that. Then you're going to have a financial folder. You're going to need to have your business taxes as well as some financial statements. Some certifications will request copies of invoices that you've sent just to make sure that you are actually transacting business, right? And that you're not just a shell corporation. And then out of your financial software are your balance sheet, your statement of cash flow, and your P&L. Then managerial things, maybe if you have an office lease or other lease agreements, maybe you lease a car, maybe you're in trucking and transportation, you got a big old truck. Maybe you lease a printer or anything else, or maybe you've got a co-working space that you'll include the lease there. And then you're also going to want to include the owner's resume, right? Because they want to make sure that you are actively involved in the business. So those are just some samples of things. Once you're getting all of your required and requested documents together. And there's a whole post here that goes into a little bit more detail on the portal about all of the different legal documents and how they impact your certification. All right, so that's there for you. All right, mistakes to avoid, right? We all want to learn and grow and help each other learn and grow, but nobody wants to pay the dumb tax, right? None of us have time for that. So mistakes to avoid, right? We're going to go through some quick mistakes to avoid, because when you make mistakes in your certification, you go into the other pile. Womp, womp. So let's use City of Houston for an example. If next week you submitted all of your documents and you forgot to sign something or upload something, then they're going to get to you in September, right? For example. And then they're going to say, hey, in September, we're missing these things. And now you've got 30 days to get them back to us. So now your time frame just got expanded. Right? So that's really frustrating. So we want to make sure that when you do your submission, you are ready to good to go, and you're not making these mistakes. We see this time and time again, that the last time anybody read their legal documents was like a year ago, 2 years ago, or 3 years ago when they just signed them. They didn't really understand it. So it's really important to know and read your legal documents and what they say and what that means to you and your company. Okay, especially if it's a husband and wife, or if there's multiple owners, or if you got some seed money from someone else, or you've got other people that have interest in your corporation and company. You really need to understand it. Applying for a certification when you find an opportunity. So that's waiting too late. So pre-COVID, most certifications took about 90 days, pre-COVID, right? And so if you find that most awesome opportunity that's going to, change the trajectory of your company, and you need a certification within 2 weeks, probably not going to happen. More than likely not going to happen. So be prepared and get ready for doing business with those agencies and those prime contractors, and get your certification now. Okay. And we've talked about this. We haven't talked about this yet. Is when you start your certification, when you set up your profile, and there was this gal, and she was 27, and she thought that she could get her hub certification, her WBEA certification, and her City of Houston certification all done in one weekend. That gal who was 27 years old is the same gal that's talking to you right now. So she thought that she could get it all done. She was real cute and young and a little bit of an overachiever. So I went and set up profiles for all of those and thought that I could do it. And then business happened. And then you have 90 days to get the process completed. And so the first time, way back in the day, back in 2000, when my first company I had, I didn't do it all. So I got kicked out and they closed, and I had to start it all over again. Right? And you're like, oh, 90 days, that's 3 months. That's really not that long of a time when you're trying to find missing information, find a tax return, get your financials, get your legal document. And oh yeah, by the way, run your business, run your life, and be present with your family. So want to make sure that you look at the eligibility, you get your stuff together, and then you start, because that timer, that tick, 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 starts 90 days when you set up your profile. So don't be like that 27-year-old was, okay? Certifications that don't match your business goals. We talked about this, right? Don't just get a piece of paper to get a piece of paper because you went to a seminar and somebody said to get it, right? Okay, not going to beat that dead horse. You do need a resume as an owner. Back to that managerial person who owns, manages, and is involved in the day-to-day operations. They will go and look at your resume, and they will go and look at your LinkedIn. If you've owned your business for 3 years and they go and look in your LinkedIn and your company's not even listed there, right? It starts kind of having some areas of concern. So we see this all the time. So make sure that you've got a resume that's current, that talks about what you do in the day-to-day operations of your business, and you update your LinkedIn. So I just went through all of those fairly quickly, but there's a blog post that goes through even more of those common certification mistakes that could cost you the certification. All right, Sharon, I still got some more time to talk. Okay. Opportunities. So how do we find those opportunities? And let's target 5 clients, right? So we're going to go through, how do you find the buyers and where do you find these opportunities, right? And so we're going to take some examples and walk you through the vendor systems and their websites. So think about, who are the buyers? What do they buy? When do they buy your goods and services, and how? Right? Is it formal or informal? So we're going to take this just like we did with the certifications, going federal and then taking it to the state. So we'll start at SAM, the federal level, the System for Award Management. If you want to do business with any of the 400 federal agencies, you have to be registered in SAM. Okay. So that's the System for Award Management. You're going to get a UEI number and all of that. So you've got to be registered in SAM. Our good friends in Alabama Purchasing has a vendor self-service. So if you get the Alabama certification, that does not automatically register you in the vendor self-service. Same thing if you get your federal certification, that doesn't automatically register you in SAM. You have to do both. You have to do both. And what's great about the state of Alabama is, look, right here, here are their buyers. It puts it right there and makes it easy for you. So I'm going to talk to Terry. I'm going to call Terry up and introduce myself and send my capability statement and let them know that I'm registered and I'm ready to do business with the state of Alabama. Okay. Louisiana has the Office of State Procurement. So if you get the Hudson Initiative certification, you're going to need to go and register at the Office of State Procurement. And this is how you're going to get emailed opportunities. All of these, whether it's SAM, Louisiana, Alabama, Texas, when you go and register your company, you're going to need to put in, what are those codes again? You're going to need to put in your NAICS codes and or your NIGP codes. Because then when scope comes up, regardless of how big or how small that scope is, those opportunities are going to arrive with a cute little pink bow or red bow or blue bow right in your inbox. So you want to make sure to be prepared and have all of that information ready for you. Okay. Georgia, if you want to do business with Georgia, same type of thing, doing business with Georgia. And then it says right there, to submit for bids, you need to register at the Team Georgia Marketplace. So same thing, if you're going to register for the bid, that's going to be the same place where you're going to find the opportunities. And Georgia, just like Alabama, here's their procurement staff. So you've got a procurement manager, you've got the contract specialist, there they are. These people's jobs, these buyers and procurement officers or contracting officers, their job is to help you do business with this agency. Going all the way up to the top, state of New York, doing business with Procurement Services of New York State. So that's the Office of General Services. So that is the direct link, and you can see that there is procurement, government support, and doing business there. Since most of us here are in Texas, then you're going to go to the Centralized Master Bidders List, which is CMBL. Now in Texas, if you register for the CMBL, it's $70. It is the best $70 you will spend all year. When you register on the CMBL, opportunities are going to come to you in your inbox. Primes are also going to go to the CMBL and the Hub database to look for certified businesses. So the CMBL tells you where the opportunities are, and you find out the opportunities, then you go to the pre-bid, and then you reach out to the prime contractors. When I had my marketing agency, we had a big company out of Dallas reach out to us and say, hey, we're going after a state of Texas tourism contract. And are you able to do any of these services? Email marketing, video, graphic design, public relations, all of these things. And we said, yes, we can do the email marketing. Well, that company had that contract for 7 years. So they won it the first year, then it got renewed for 3 more years. Then it went out to bid. They won it again. and then they got renewed for 3 more years, and then it went out again, and then they won it again. Because I replied to that one email from somebody finding us on the CMBL with our hub certification, I had 2 people that full-time, all they did was work on that contract. It does work. I promise you, if you get registered in the CMBL, you have your hub certifications, you go to pre-bids, you follow up on opportunities with your capability statement, you will get work. We see it time and time again. I could sit here all night and tell you other examples. State of Alabama, tips with doing business with the state of Alabama, Department of Finance. So see how the names are just a little bit different depending on the state, but they're all very, very similar, right? Okay, in Alabama, just like New York and Louisiana, here's their purchasing directors. So if you have any questions, you can ask these people. And one thing that I really like about Alabama is if you look there, so there's Chris Watts. Chris is the team supervisor for airplane helicopter parts, aerial services, concrete, plant mix. And so they go on their website and break it down by buyers. Port Houston does the same thing. Metro does the same thing. So you are contacting the correct person. Louisiana, what do you need to put in when you are registering? So a lot of this information, y'all, that you're going to need for your certifications, that you're going to have on your capability statement, that you're going to use when you leverage your certifications, is a lot of the same content that you're going to need in your registrations, right? So you'll be able to quickly use that content that you've already assembled to help you find opportunities. All right, so where do we find those opportunities? Well, there's a couple different ways to research, right? So you can find out who's buying what you're selling. You can go to sam.gov and you can look at all award data. So you can look at historic. You can also go to usaspending.gov. That'll tell you at the federal level which government agency is spending what. And once again, based on your codes. Well, how do I know my codes? Well, because I went and I found them, right? And you're going to need to know your NAICS codes and your NIGP codes. Then also state of Texas. So here at ESBD, which stands for the Electronic State Daily Search, I can either put in my code right here, my NIGP code or class item, or I can do a keyword search. So all of these different agencies, regardless of what state it is, I can go and I can see what is active, right? What's posted, or I can see what's awarded or what's closed. So now I can go and do some competitive and some strategic research on who's winning contracts and what I do, who are the primes that I need to go market to, right? So I can leverage my certifications. So the state of Alabama vendor self-service, we talked about that. So what does that look like? Well, here it is. You're going to get a user ID and a password. You're going to register there, and it talks about the different types of information that you do. I can click here and view the different departments' contracts and get an example of those. Division of Louisiana, right? Excuse me, the Division of Administration in Louisiana, little similar to state of Texas. The department, right? So which specific department that I want to do work with? Maybe the category. I can look at open opportunities. I can look at issued. I can also do keywords, right? So as you're looking and figuring out who you want to do business with, what do they buy that you do, and then what certifications do they have, right? So all of this all works together to help you leverage your time and your energy to scale in the government space. Georgia Procurement Registry. So you can see that all of these are looking very, very similar, right? Keyword search, government agency, and the status. State of New York, same type of thing. I can put in keywords and search for those. And just kind of to wrap a few things up here in the state of Texas, in 2003 fiscal year 2023, there was $51.8 billion spent in the state of Texas. In the state of Louisiana, 21 state agencies made up $12.4 billion. Georgia, 8 Georgia agencies together, 80 agencies in Georgia, $62.5 billion. So there is opportunities and money for everyone here in this space. So we're going to wrap up and we talked about how do you find these opportunities? How do you find your certifications? How do you market the certifications? So once you've got them, here's a quick checklist for different places that you want to make sure to put your certifications. You are certified, so be loud and be proud about it and put it every possible way in every possible place that you can, because you never know where opportunities may arise. We're going to show you some examples of these as well. And Hannah's going to be doing a series of social media posts this month about ways to market your certification as well. We've got a whole video going on this on the website. So obviously, we've talked about this many times, your capability statement. You need to make sure to put your certifications on your capability statement and make sure that you put the certifying agency, right? So here's an example of Greg with Honesty Construction with City of Houston. He has SBE, MBE, and DBE with the City of Houston. Our good friend Chef Yo, right, has these certifications: HMSDC, WBEA, Hub and Metro, and City of Houston MBE. Meg Toops, so she is WBE certified with the National Women's Business Owners Council. So she has it right there on her business card. Now, I'm showing you all these different examples. Choose which works best for you. Maybe you do or don't want it on your business card. That's fine. Want to give you all sorts of options and ideas. On your website, you need to make sure that it is on your website, your certifications, absolutely. And link out to the listing of your business on those certification websites. Maybe if you're going to trade shows, right, that have those supplier diversity partners or these government agencies, make sure that it's on your sales materials and on your trade show materials, right? So you can see that. Your social media. This is a quickie that you can do either this week or next week in your company profile, in your overview. Make sure that you put your certifications in there, right? Another opportunity for you to leverage those certifications. On any other type of handouts or flyers, maybe you've got a trifold brochure, you're going to put it there. And literally, Susan and I were out to lunch one day, and this coffee truck was right next to it, and we took a picture. Like, this is like around the corner in the front of my neighborhood. Sure enough, it's a coffee company, and they are certified woman-owned. So we were super excited to see that and made sure to take a picture of it. Maybe you do some email marketing. Make sure to include it on there as well, especially if part of your database goes to different people and people that would be buying your goods and services. To kind of wrap this all up, you know, your certifications are not wall art. You really want to leverage those and use those to make sure that you are using it to get business. So I'm going to close here, turn it back over to Sharonda.
Thank you, Julie. Thank you, thank you, thank you. What an information-packed presentation we have had from Julie. Does anyone have any questions for Julie?
Can a certification help with acquiring a business property? I'm going to answer that question how I think it was phrased, but please chime in and let me know if that's not if that's not the intent. There are programs that access to capital programs that are specifically targeted towards women-owned businesses or minority-owned businesses. I do know that if you do have those certifications, regardless if they're federal, state, or local, when you go to apply for those access to capital programs, whether it's a grant or maybe it's a reduced rate or other things that might come with that, part of that application process is, if you have your certifications, include them. And you are kind of brought a little bit higher to the list, I will say. But as far as getting a certification and then getting property, I'm not familiar with that. But please let me know if I answered the question or if I understood your question correctly.
Okay. The answer is no. It's not. It won't help you. The only time you being a veteran will help you is if you purchasing residential property. But for the most part, the answer is no. Lewis asked a question in the chat. How do we get the links for our website, or at least the logos? Lewis, can you please come off of mute and ask your question? Hi, Lewis.
I saw there was one of the examples on the website with the different certification levels. And I don't know if there were actual links going to your certification, or they were just logos telling people that you were certified in the different different things.
I think that's a Julie question.
Yes, it is. So on each website has the logos to download. So the WBEA will have the logo to download. State of Texas Hub will have their logo to download. And you know what? That is actually a really good suggestion for us to put on the portal, are the respective approved logos from the approved agencies, because we see that a lot where people have the wrong logo. It's like, nope, that's actually not the correct logo to use for that certification. Each agency will have it. There'll typically also be a link for you when you get the certification to download the logo package. But we're actually gonna put that on our website. That is a really good point, and an idea for us to put as something for us to do next quarter. So thank you so much for that idea. Really appreciate
you, Louise. Look at you.
Yeah.
There is an opportunity for us to learn each and every day. If you're not learning, you're not growing.
Yep, absolutely.
Any other questions? Okay, so if we have no more questions, let's give a round of applause for Julie with B2G. Thank you, Julie. What we'll do now is we'll get into access to capital. All right, back to True Fund. You already know that we are a lender. We are CDFI. What is a CDFI, Sharonda? It is a community development financial institution. Okay, so why choose True Fund? We offer a community-centered approach. We focus on the needs of the community. We focus on the needs of the entrepreneurs and the business owners that are in these communities to give them comprehensive support. Okay, even if you don't qualify for a loan with True Fund. Okay, let's say you do come to True Fund for a loan and you're not qualified. When you're working with True Fund, we will always give you an additional resource, or it's not like no, period. It's no, but let's see what we can do, right? Maybe you need to go talk to our referral partner who focuses on finance and accounting. Maybe you need some operations to be and processes to be put in place. We can, if we can help you with it, because we have in-house resources and we have partners that we work with and that are subject matter experts, just like Julie at B2G, right? So that's why choose True Fund, community-centered approach, comprehensive support, and proven impact. All right. Now, gaining access to capital can assist you in one of these three ways. Gives you capital to allow your small business to cover operational expenses or pay employees, day-to-day activities, right? Investment and innovation. It can empower your business to invest in new technologies, which will in turn grow your business. Product development, new products on the market, and strategies that can give you a competitive edge. So investment and innovation could look like joining a cohort, joining an accelerator program, getting a business mentor, going to the SBC or the SCORE mentoring program that are of no cost to you, right? Scaling opportunities. Accessing capital can help, you guys to seize growth opportunities by expanding into new markets. So let's say if you're a small business, like let's say one of my new clients, I'm gonna put them on the spot, one of my new clients, Strong Arm Solutions, Mr. Whitaker, owns a company that does low voltage installations, I believe. Put it in the chat if I'm wrong. But, he's ready to scale. He wants to do new things. He wants to branch out, right? So if he had access to funding, he could do that. It could help him to increase his capacity by launching new services, or if you're a product-based business, launching new products and or purchasing commercial real estate, right? So, those are the things that accessing capital can get you. And I always like to say it's not a matter of if you'll need capital, it's a matter of when, right? Especially if you're trying to grow. All right. So your loan, Alice, your loan package, period. I'll call it the stay ready package. Your personal tax returns at least 3 years, business tax returns at least 20 years, not 20 years, 2 years. From each individual owner that owns at least 20% of the company, right? And if you have 3 years of business taxes, we'll accept that too. And you'll also have to provide most of these same documents when you are trying to get certified or when you're trying to get insurance for your company, and also when you are trying to get funding. Yes. You need your personal financial statement. You need your interim or year-to-date financial statements. They are your profit and loss, balance sheet, cash flow statement, receivables, payables. If you have a contract and you're trying to use your contract as collateral, we need your contract status report, a copy of the contract, and your work in progress report. Okay, when you request money, what you need to know, you need to know the amount you want to purchase, the amount you want to borrow, the purpose of why you need $50,000. Is it working capital, equipment, widgets, office supplies, payroll? What is it? You need to understand the type of facility. So the type of facilities that you all can use to grow your business is going to be a loan or a line of credit, right? You need to understand the difference, and you need to understand which one will benefit your company as a whole in the long run, right? Repayment terms, maturity, amortization term, conditions and covenants, collateral, and if you'll need collateral, and if you'll need a guarantee. Here at True Fund and most other CDFIs, even though your business is getting the loan, the owner will need to be a personal guarantor, right? Because, oh, bing. All right. So, credit. A lot of people think that getting a small business loan, you can use your business credit. No. When you are looking to get a small business loan, and small business loans can go up to, Julie, I think the cap for a small business loan to be considered is what, 2,700 some $1,000, something like that. Anyway, so we are going to look at your credit. Now, True Fund is not a credit-driven organization. So we're not going to say, oh, you need to have a 700 credit score to get a loan with us. No, we look at the credit score. We look at your payment history. We look at your revenues. We look at your income. We examine your tax documents. We examine your financial documents. We extract data. We extract data from those documents and we do a calculation on it. When we do that calculation, if your debt service credit ratio isn't in line with our lending guidelines, that's really when we move forward with your application. So, for the difference between True Fund and other organizations, especially those high interest merchant loans and those payday loans, those loans have, percentages of up to 3, 4, 5, 700%. Okay. I've seen small business owners paying $4,000 a week for those types of loans, and you don't have to do that. But if you follow all of these things and you understand collateral, guarantee, condition, and covenants, then, you'll be fine. Okay, True Fund Loan Products. We have our REP, Real Estate Acquisition Program. We have our small business loan fund, and we have our contract finance / contract mobilization loan funds. And these are the 4 options. Oh, hold up, wait a minute. Stop. My apologies. We have a new loan product that's not on this graphic, and that is my fault. We have our community climate product. Call me if you need more information. But those are the type of loan products we offer here at True Fund. All right. Tips and tricks, tips and tricks, tips and tricks. All right. First up, it takes effort to obtain a small business loan. The process is not easy. If it was easy, everybody would get money all day, every day, and twice on days that end in Y. Your credit score will your personal credit score will directly influence your ability to secure a loan. Build your professional team. Okay, I think Mr. Juan from Veritex touched on this earlier in the program. Build your professional team. You need a CPA, aka bookkeeper, tax planner, tax strategist, etc., an attorney. You need a banker. True Fund is not a banker. We are a lender. We can loan you money, but we cannot open a bank account for you. So you need a good relationship with a good quality bank. Okay. You need an insurance rep. You're going to need insurance for your business. You also are going to need an advisor, coach, or mentor. Okay. Up next, make sure you talk with wherever you have your business account or wherever you want to have your business account, your business bank account. You need to talk with a banker or business development officer before you need the loan. Now that goes back to, it's not a matter of if you need the money, it's a matter of when you need the money. Am I right? Can I get some? Okay. Understand your use of funds. This is very, very, very important, guys. Before you go applying for a loan, you need to understand what you're going to do with those funds. Are you going to use it to buy supplies, materials? Do you need equipment? Are you going to need it for payroll? What you're going to do with it? Understand that. Be organized and know your numbers. What do you mean by that, Sharonda? What I mean by that is you need to be organized. You need to understand, like a lot of you guys may have QuickBooks and other softwares to run your accounting and bookkeeping and record keeping, and they'll just spit you a report out, which is fine. But you need to understand those numbers. You need to understand those reports. You need to understand the picture that it paints for your business. Okay. Last but not least, don't give up. If you get denied, don't give up. If you get denied, if you are denied for a loan, request, to talk to whomever can talk to you about your declination. You need to understand why you were declined. Because if you were declined at one place, then, and you understand why you were declined, then you could possibly get a loan with another institution. So don't give up if denied. All right. My final thoughts. Here's a little bit of inspiration. If Walt Disney quit too soon after his theme park concept was rejected over 300 times, there would be no Disney World. Also, Howard Schultz was seeking investment for his coffee shop dream. It was denied over 200 times. If he had given up, there would be no Starbucks. All right. We have one question in the chat okay. What is the minimum DSCR for a true fund loan? That answer is our minimum DSCR percentages range from 1.05 to 1.1. Second part of your question, does your business have to be established for 2+ years? Yes. Yes. And the reason it has to be established for 2+ years is we want to make sure that A, your revenues are adequate, B, that you are claiming an income on your business, not a loss. The thought process behind that is if you have negative income, then how are you going to service a debt? Okay. Also, if your business is more than 2 years old, then we can look at your history, the history of your business, because sometimes we understand that companies, may have an off year, and we get that. That's why we want to have as many tax returns that tells the story about your business as you can provide, so that we can make an informed decision on if you would be a great candidate for a loan. You need to be able to service all debt, not just true funds debt either, because when we do that calculation, it doesn't just include true funds debt. It includes, the debt of the business owner. So we want to make sure that if we are to approve you for a loan, that us approving you for that loan is not going to, let's say, for instance, have you getting late notices or foreclose on your home or on your rent payment. We want to make sure that when we structure this loan, that your business won't suffer and your personal won't suffer. Does that make sense? All right. Do we have any other questions in the chat? If my business has had an off year recently, but been in business for 3 years, should I apply for a loan? My first 2 years, I did well. So it never hurts to submit your information. When you submit your information and we run the calculation, if your percentages are in line with our lending guidelines, then I would say, go for it. Nothing beats a failure but a try. But always remember, I never like to just tell my clients no, period. I think we heard that earlier. I don't like to tell my clients no, period. I like to tell my clients no, but let's see how we can get you to where you need to be. Or if we can't help you, can we work with our referral partners to help you? if that makes sense. Do we have any more questions?
While Ronald's typing, I'll go ahead and just kind of chime in about what Sharonda said about, don't wait till you need the money to apply for the money. Especially with certifications and government contracts, and just in this space, you always want to have, a line of credit. And if you don't use it, that's fine. You at least have it. And that's also one great way to start building your business credit that is not a credit card, right? And then also, I got in my own head and waited for a loan application to be, quote, perfect for 6 months. I kept just whacking away at it and working on it a little bit on the weekend. And okay, now I got to finish this. And my business plan has to be perfect. And all of this, and wasted 6 valuable months in my business because I got in my own head. And like Sharonda said, and the team at Veritex, they really are there to help you and put what you think. It is a collaborative process. It's not just you sent this over. Nope. It's, hey, let's tweak this, or this is great, or, have you thought about this and that? Just like today on the call when somebody asked, hey, where are those logos? I was like, that's actually a pretty good point, that we should make it, we have everything ready for the certifications. Well, let's make it really easy for you to get the logos once you've got them, right? That central point. And there were actually 2 things in B2G that we're doing now that came out of our loan application, that our loan officer and our loan advisor said, hey, have y'all thought about this and this? And we went ahead and revised it and submitted it. So I know sometimes we're afraid of failure and falling forward and all of that, but ask questions and just think that it is an iterative process. And you don't know unless you apply. And what you might think that you're eligible for this product or this package, once you send in your application, then the team at TrueFund and the team at Veritex go and do their work. Let them do all the heavy lifting and find you the best rate and the best product and the best terms. But they can't help you until you send over your stuff. So I'd just like to kind of share that I shot myself in the foot and could have gotten funding 6 months earlier if I would have gotten out of my own head. So Ronald's question, Sharonda, are you ready for it?
Yes.
Okay. His question is, what business structure is the best for business loans? Sole proprietor, LLC, or corporations? That's one question. The next question is, can you get a business loan for a nonprofit?
Very good question. Very good question. So Ronald, to answer your question, no. So you don't, it doesn't matter if you are an LLC or corporation or sole proprietor. As long as you are filing taxes on your entity. And let me clarify, sole proprietor. Okay. So if you are just a sole proprietor, and you didn't register with your county or anything, and you don't have an EIN number or anything, then no, we cannot lend to you. But if you are a sole proprietor and you have done your proper paperwork, then yes, we can. But we don't distinguish between LLC, corporation, S corp. But if you are a nonprofit, then if your nonprofit has personal guarantors, yes, we can lend to your nonprofit. Does that answer your question, Ronald? You can come off mute if you want to.
Yes, that answers the question. And the final question that I would ask is, I understand that a nonprofit and, say, for example, a corporation are 2 different entities. So would the corporation, if I had a corporation and a nonprofit, would the corporation be able to be a guarantor for the nonprofit with your?
No, no,
Okay.
no. And let me break something down for you. A nonprofit is a corporation. A
Right.
nonprofit, let me say that again. A nonprofit is a corporation, period. So no, a a C corp or an S corp cannot be a guarantor for a nonprofit. It would have to be someone with a valued interest in a nonprofit, a board member, executive director, etc. Does that answer your question?
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, we have another question I just saw in the chat. What are the benefits of converting your LLC to an S corp? Okay, Kim, let me put my disclaimer back on. I am not an attorney. I am not a CPA. I'm a person that knows things. But you should definitely talk to your CPA or your attorney. But to answer your question, you cannot convert an LLC to an S corp. So the type of entities that you create is either a corporation, which is a C corp, an LLC, an LLP, a nonprofit, a partnership, so forth and so on. S corp is not an entity type. Being an S corp is an IRS election. Okay, you would have to complete a form to elect for your LLC to be taxed as an S corp, but it is not. An S corp is not an entity. An S corp is an IRS election. Does that make sense? So with that, I'm going to end it now. Thank you guys for attending. Thank you guys for showing up. Thank you guys for your questions. Thank you to Veritex. Thank you for Julie. B2G Victory. Once again, I'm Sharonda Hill, your hostess with the mostest. Feel free to scan the QR code, ask any questions. Let me know if you need any help. Thank you, Patrick. Thank you, Kim. Thank you, Julie. Thank you, Jeremy. Thank you, Jackie. Thank you, Luis Guerrero. I appreciate each and every one of you. So scan the QR code. If you need something, you can reach out to me at shill@truthfund.org, and I can help you with anything you may need.